episode of the Two Shots podcast. I'm your host, Joe Garcia, and today we're going to be joined by the man who broke Spurs Twitter, the one and only Ty Yager. How's it going, Ty?
It's a bit hard to manage my Twitter right now, but it's going good. It's going good.
Yeah, so Ty broke Spurs Twitter earlier because he kind of broke the story here for the folks here in San Antonio, the diehard Spurs fans, and our fellow Spurs Twitter fans out there, alumni. And he kind of showed the picture of the City Edition jerseys that the San Antonio Spurs will be rolling with in the upcoming season. So, Ty, go ahead and elaborate a little bit more on that.
So first off, some people said I leaked it. I am not the one who leaked the photo. I did leak the news back on Wednesday the 28th, saying that I had information that the City Edition jerseys that were coming out that people were starting to leak, the Spurs were not going to have camo, which is a big deal.
Yeah.
And I even tweeted out about this. I wonder what other fan bases are thinking about us cheering about not having camo jerseys. But because it's in like the first time in a decade, the Spurs are not going to have a camo jersey, which is pretty significant, at least with us Spurs fans who have not gotten any sort of color, I would say, within jerseys. But I learned that information on Wednesday, and I leaked that. That kind of blew up on Twitter a little bit. And then today we finally got the picture. I sent it to my source who gave me the prior information, and I got it confirmed, saying that these were definitely the jerseys that were supposed to be the City Edition jerseys for this year. So I didn't leak it, but I did confirm it.
Yeah, he just went ahead and put the information out there. He put it out in the ether. Spurs fans can make their own assumptions, but yes, Ty is the one who broke Spurs Twitter with the news. That's all we can say.
And I get to say that I didn't lie to anyone. I had the information, gave you the information, and look what we got on Friday. We got a Fiesta jersey. I'm just saying. But but we got this Fiesta jersey. From the looks of it, it looks like this is going to be a store. This is kind of one that you can buy in a store. This is not going to be the official jersey just yet. I think that we're going to see some, and we even talked about this before we recorded, was that there might be a few different changes to this jersey from the picture that we've seen, but this is the design that we're getting as fans, and it must be exciting. It's going to be really exciting. I know that I'm going to cop one as soon as they go on sale, because the Spurs have not had a splash of color in their jerseys in how long now?
Forever. I mean, ever since they moved into the AT&T Center, they have not had any color on their warm-up suits or anything. It's just been silver and black or gray or white, for away and for the home jerseys. And that's about it.
I know some people are the diehard of just keep it silver and black. It's like, no, add some color to it. Let's let this pop. Come on, we don't want to be the Nets. Let's have a splash of color, and this jersey perfectly embellishes the splash of color needed.
Yeah, you can't please everybody, and I know that there was some disgruntled Spurs fans, even on Facebook. I went onto Facebook.
That's Facebook. What are you expecting on Facebook?
And the same thing there. People were complaining. Some people, the majority of everybody, I'd say at least 99% of people were ecstatic that they're getting a variant of the Fiesta colored jersey. And you have the 1% of people out there who complain about it, that it's ugly, it's hideous. And they asked them, okay, Spurs fans are really cool about this. If you hate the jersey, that's fine. They didn't drag them or come out throwing rotten tomatoes at them or really coming at them. They just asked a question and said, what would you change about it? And they were like, they didn't even really know what to say about that. They just didn't like it.
They don't know design. That's what they say, that they hate it, but they don't know design. They just don't like it because it's something different.
Yeah, I think that's it. And then on Twitter, we have the same thing. We have some of the fans who come out and say the same thing. I don't like this jersey. Okay, why don't you like it? And then the reasoning behind it is one fan, I'm not going to call him out, but said that that he hopes that we're happy when the Spurs go 30-62 wearing those sissy colors. I'm like, really, man?
That's just some people just mustn't hate Fiesta, or they got too drunk at one and they just got kicked out, so they never liked the Fiesta color since.
I
No,
think
but
it's a good homage. It's a good throwback
it is.
to when they were wearing that Fiesta colored theme on their warm up suits. Prior to coming out in the game, out there warming up prior to the games. That kind of stuff.
And
Looking,
Tom Petrini even posted a picture and said, and they looked almost identical, and I
yes,
still really like it.
the font was a little different, but I think they did a very good representation of those '90s styled warm up suits, that they would wear before the
Yeah.
game. I thought it was really good throwback. It's like, hey, we just want to finally give the fans what they've been clamoring for. And believe me, when they go on sale, these are going to sell out in an instant, and they're
Yeah.
probably going to be going up on eBay, for triple and double the price. So
Someone had the idea of 14 of us just getting a medium of each different player and just rotating it amongst the 14.
no, God, a medium.
But
Come on now. I like my tortillas, man. I haven't been in a medium since I was like in middle school, dude. Think I could fit an arm through the medium.
sorry, I'm 5'11" and 155. I'm gonna be wearing a medium.
Yeah, no, man.
But,
Mine has to have at least a 2X in front of that.
all right, so I do want to say, while I did drop a Jaeger bomb on everyone, I'm just gonna say, confirming a leaked jersey doesn't mean I suddenly know all the scoop about the front office. So please stop asking me what the front office is going to do, because I do not have that information.
Yeah, it comes with the territory, man. But I mean, Spurs fans, they're just hungry for information. Everybody wants to know what's going on with the team because everybody has an opinion. Everybody wants to give their input and say, hey, I want this to happen or I want that to happen. And that brings us to our next topic right now. We're going to wind up talking about some of the rumors that have been flying around.
Oh, before we get there, though, we forgot to mention this.
Go
So
ahead.
I'm pretty sure the Spurs called me out.
Oh, yes. Yes, we forgot to
I'm
mention.
pretty sure they called me out on my league.
Yeah, it was funny. The Spurs, what did they say exactly on Spurs Twitter? They said something to the effect of
So they posted this on Twitter and Instagram, said asking for a friend, and the image was them looking on Thumbtack for a leak specialist.
There you go. So basically they all but confirmed that this is going to be the City Edition jerseys.
So
yeah.
With that, we think that this is definitely a confirmation that it's serious, and I'm pretty sure the Spurs are coming after me. At least the marketing team. I think the marketing team is coming after me because I was leaving work today. And I got a bolt in my tire.
What?
And so it caused my tire to leak.
Oh God.
Luckily, I made it to a discount tire and I got it fixed. But I think I'm not sure. I think the Spurs marketing team is coming after me for leaking.
The Spurs Mafia is coming after you, man.
They spent so much time planning whatever presentation that they're planning to come out on Twitter, and I just said, nah, we're going to release this early.
Yeah. Oh, we also want to make a shout out here or mention to Spurs Reddit, on Twitter. He also mentioned that not only, like you stated with the jersey being all but confirmed here, this Fiesta themed jersey, that the court will actually be getting a facelift as well. So we don't really know what that will look like, but credit to Spurs Reddit, who I saw posted that on Twitter, and I retweeted that so Spurs fans could see that as well. That'd be interesting. I know the spot that information is going to be coming out first, so I just let you know before we came on. So we're going to keep a close eye.
Spurs Reddit, him and I kind of got together on this week, kind of traded some sources, traded some information, and all that. So yeah, but he's been working on this too. He's doing the work of make sure the fans know anything new that's coming out. So Spurs Reddit is definitely working on this as well.
Yeah. So shout out to you, Spurs Reddit. Maybe we can get him on the show, sometime.
Face reveal.
Well, no, he can just come on with voice, man. He wants to, keep his face intact, and not show everybody what he looks like. That's fine. Let's just have him on the show,
All right.
Maybe we can make that happen, because I want to do a fan show, and I want to have some of the fans on here. You know, I'm going to have my fan over here, Jimmy C. Fields. He's been clamoring to come out on the show, and I want to just have some other fans come out. And I thought it'd be cool to also do, you know, like Spurs Reddit, yourself. Maybe we get Noah on here as well, you know, kind of do an impromptu kind of thing, you know, coming up here soon. So that'll be fun. We'll see if he's up for it.
So, but shout out to the I do want to give a shout out to the person who did give me the image specifically, and it's going to be a guy named Jersey Elite Guys. He's the one that got me. He's the one that got me the image first thing. You can follow him at SGA4MVP. He's Oklahoma City Thunder fan, but he's the one that got me the photo, and I'm not sure where he got the photo. But there is another account called Kasmissa.nba that I'm not sure if they must be in Brazil because it's Portuguese on their bio. But I believe that they were one of the first Twitter accounts to really tweet the image. And then they've also been kind of throwing out some images today of other jerseys. There's a DC one, Toronto, Milwaukee. They've been kind of throwing some images out there. So I would say kind of keep an eye on what they're putting out.
Yeah, so I like some of the jerseys, you know, that have been leaked. I thought, you know, they were doing an okay job with some of the ones that came out. I believe the one that I think I saw the Utah one, and that one looked okay. I think there was a Denver one that was also leaked as well. So I'm just keeping an eye on them. I gotta say, man, the Nets one, I wasn't really a fan of. I thought it was gonna be a little bit better.
Really.
Yeah.
The one I am a fan of is the Portland one. I do really like that.
That one looks nice.
I do really like that Oregon jersey, and they did. And the Blazers did make that official on Thursday with their own little presentation of it, and it's a really cool looking jersey.
Yeah, that one was cool. I like that one. I just like the color scheme and the overall design. I thought it was really well done. It was nice and clean, kind of like, you know, the Spurs City Edition jerseys. I think they did a good job keeping it nice and clean because it could have gotten really gaudy really quick. We saw some of the fan renderings that came out throughout the year about, you know, fans wanting to get in and take their shot at designing. Some designs were good. Some of them were a little over the top, you know, so I think the Spurs did a good job of meeting somebody in the middle.
Yeah, so with this, it's pretty simple. It's a pretty simple jersey design. But I would say, especially with Fiesta colors, I think that you can do more things that will go wrong than will go right with Fiesta colors, just because they're really bright. They're sherbet basic colors, and with the wrong design, it can be too much. But I think they kind of went the minimalist route on this as their very first one, and I think they did the right thing in my opinion. The design is clean. It's still clean looking. It gives the Fiesta vibes. It does that splash of color that everyone wants, but it still kind of keeps that traditional black and silver on it. So I do see, going back to what we were saying, that some people don't like the design. Some people are kind of trashing design for being very minimalistic, but I think simple is better in this case. And especially for the first one, it looks really good.
Yeah, it looks really good. So let's go ahead and move on here to our next subject, and that is going to be the discussion of DeMar DeRozan. We got word earlier in the week here. I believe it was not leaked, but it was on the Ringer. And it was done, through the Bill Simmons podcast, of course. And I believe it was O'Connor who kind of expanded a little bit more on the trade rumors surrounding DeMar DeRozan, saying that, the Spurs have been in discussions with other teams about trading DeMar DeRozan, that there might be some interest from other teams around the league, for, I guess they're coming after DeMar to procure his services. And it's rumored. And the thing is with the Spurs, they don't really leak a lot of stuff except for jerseys. But beyond that, they don't really leak a lot of stories about, trade rumors, things of that nature. So we just got to take this, I guess, with a grain of salt. Where there's smoke, there's fire. I guess you have that kind of mentality, then you can see that, and maybe there's something to this. Me personally, I really just think it just might be teams calling the Spurs, maybe, and the Spurs listening to these offers, but really nothing else beyond that. Unless something really enticing comes through, then maybe they'll really heat up the discussions with the other team in regards to that. But what are your thoughts on this? How do you feel about this rumor about DeMar DeRozan possibly being traded?
So yeah, like you said, Kevin O'Connor of the Ringer did say that teams were interested in him, and then we kind of got a. There was another report out there by at Scoop B, who's kind of been a little sketchy with his reports, but he specifically said that the Nets and the Bucks were showing interest in. So of course, having any sort of news, you're going to say we're going to milk this as much as we can. But
Exactly.
I if I'm the Spurs and people are interested in DeMar, you'll listen to those talks. You only have he has a player option that he's most likely going to accept that's at 27 million.
Yeah.
Bobby Marks released kind of a free agent like what some contract like a contract estimator where he had DeMar at about 22 to 24 million. So I would expect DeMar to accept the player option no matter what, especially with the cap situation that's about to happen and everything like that. You assume that he's going to opt in if he wants that money. He might opt out because San Antonio just might not be a place that he wants to be at. We don't know, but my assumption would be that he would take the money while he can. But again, I'll go back. If the Spurs are getting interest, you gotta take it. You gotta listen to those offers, see what you can get. Maybe even milk some of these trade offers. Some of these teams are really desperate. We know the Magic are desperate for scoring. They have really good defense, but they have been suffering for scoring. And DeMar DeRozan would be a great one for that. And these other teams are just looking for another piece to add to their superstars. Look at the Nets, who have Kyrie and Durant. They're going to look for someone to put between them. And with the Bucks, you need someone. They were looking for a star to put next to DeMar DeRozan. They were looking to add DeMar DeRozan to Giannis. And some of these teams have assets, some of these teams don't. Looking at the Bucks don't really have any assets. They got Dante DaVincio, DJ Wilson, and maybe Chris Middleton if they're willing to trade that, but I don't see that happening. The Nets, however, have a list of young guys that they can dish off. Chris LeVert, Terrence Prince, Jared Allen, Nicholas Claxton. They have a lot of guys that that the Nets can really dish out if they really want to. But I think the Spurs are definitely going to listen to these trades, see what's going on, kind of judge the market. And I think this is where they figure out, is it time to move on with DeMar, try to get something out of him, or keep him, retain him? It just
Yeah.
depends on what the Spurs want to do, what DeMar DeRozan wants specifically want to do. Because if I'm the Spurs, I want to get something. If DeRozan doesn't want to be here and you're going to have him for one more year, I want to at least want to get something out of him, if possible, in the trade. But again, there's a lot of aspects to this that all depend on personnel and people within the organization. So we're going to have to wait and see. But if I'm the Spurs, I'm going to be listening to some trades and maybe even make one.
Yeah. So we'll have to see what will happen with one DeMar DeRozan. If I'm a betting man, and I've been around for quite some time and I've seen a lot of things happen in the off seasons, many off seasons here with the San Antonio Spurs, I'd have to say that the Spurs are going to start the season with DeMar DeRozan. I find it highly unlikely that he will be traded. If if they wind up working out a trade with the team, it's going to be in the scenario of the Spurs had an offer that they couldn't refuse, and they saw fit that this offer that a team is going to make them is going to help this team grow in the future, so that's the only reason that they would do this. Not necessarily for a win now mentality or a rental or 1 year rental. This is going to have to be something that's going to have to pan out for a couple of seasons in the future, not just for now. So if that came through, I could see that happening.
And the thing with the Spurs is that, to me, because you do see Lamarcus in some trade, at least trade talks somewhere around that. It's nothing really solid yet, but more speculation. But when I'm looking at these guys, it's like you don't really need to get much back because you have a lot of young talent that you can I think you can afford to, if you're the Spurs, can afford to go to and kind of rely on and make them a main option. I think Kelvin Johnson and Lonnie Walker are capable scorers. People are always saying, if we trade DeMar, we're going to not have a scorer, we're not going to playmaker. This team has plenty of young guys that can fill in that hole. Lonnie Walker has a whole lot of assets that he can be a big time scorer and playmaker. He even showed in the bubble that he can make beautiful passes and be a smart player when it comes off the ball. So
Yeah, but
Lonnie
Lonnie
Walker,
Walker is still an enigma to me. He doesn't really hasn't formed his identity because it seems at times that he doesn't really know what he is yet, what Lonnie Walker really is. But I'm hoping that in this next season he'll start forging his own identity and become a player that we all know that he's capable of being. You know.
and then that brings up my other point. If you want these guys to develop and you want these guys to be the big name players that you know that they can be and that you want them to be, you need to allow them the opportunity. You need to give them minutes. You need to give them the touches. And unfortunately, having DeMar DeRozan and Lamarcus Aldridge right there, that's not going to help them get those touches.
Here's a
And
point.
so,
Here's a point that I'd like to make. I looked at a stat called cleaning the glass. DeMar DeRozan was responsible almost for 99% of the team's touches when it came to offense, meaning that that ball had to go through him so many times in order for him to put up those points and be the leading scorer for one San Antonio Spurs, which means that a lot of these shots were taken away from the younger players when they were out there on the court. So
exactly.
that goes along with what you're saying.
And so some people are really Lamarcus Aldridge does not have any trade value on the market, unfortunately, and I don't think you're going to see it. He does have 24 million. He's going to be 36 this year, and it is expiring. But as some people have noted, including Bobby Marks, expiring contracts don't have that shine that they used to have. But we never know. And so, if I would tell Spurs fans, if you see Lamarcus Aldridge traded, don't expect a big grab from him. Don't expect a big bounty because you're not. If you get a second round picks with cash, be happy because that just makes it frees up a roster spot to use the mid-level exception and sign someone free agency with because you're not going to have much money. The Spurs are going to have a mid-level exception, and that can get you a select handful of players. But also remember, this is it's just weak. It's a weak free agency class. And it's a weak draft. So just to be expecting that. But DeMar DeRozan, I think you can get the bigger treasure from, as you can say. But again, it depends on what our teams are willing to give. Don't expect another. I would say don't expect another All-Star. And the Spurs don't need another All-Star coming in return because you have guys that can become All-Stars. And I know some people are very skeptical of this. They're like, we can't get the young guys. I'm not ready to get the young guys. Like, if you're not ready to get the young guys, when are you going to be ready? When are you going to be comfortable to allow these guys to finally take a step up? If you don't give them that opportunity anytime soon, they're never going to be the player that you want them to be.
Yeah.
And the only way that these guys are going to become the great players that I think we know that they can be, you got to give them the chance.
Yeah,
and that
playing time.
That requires dishing out Lamarcus. That requires maybe letting DeMar DeRozan walk. Maybe even getting Rudy Gay. There's things that the Spurs need to do. And then
I've said this time and time again too, Ty. If the Spurs want to move away from DeMar, I'm fine with that. As long as the Spurs have a clear plan in place, meaning, hey, we're going to move from DeMar because we want to play the younger players more. Or they're going to move not only DeMar, but also trade off Lamarcus Aldridge. You know, if that's the case, if they get rid of both of these guys, that signals to us as fans and to the rest of the league, the Spurs are in a rebuild mode now, which means they're going to go younger, which means that a lot of these younger players that we love so much are going to get more playing time out on the court. It might mean that we have losing seasons for the next 2 seasons, but I'd be fine with that.
To that, and I say it's a rebuild. I've said this for the past year and a half. A rebuild usually means blowing up the whole team. That means starting from scratch. Yeah. However, I say that this is more retooling. This team has
reloading or
retooling.
Yeah.
This is not a rebuild to me because this team has a lot of young assets already, and they've been building these assets while they were still good and still in the playoffs and still contending. That they were able to draft DeJounte, Lonnie, Derrick. They were able to get these guys when they were winning. And so now whenever they do they are going to lose probably an all-star in DeMar DeRozan. They're going to lose an all-star in Lamarcus Aldridge. They have the guys that can step up and replace them essentially. I will say, you probably won't see it in the first season. You're not going to see it in that first season. But I think it's not going to take long for this Spurs team to be really good. And we saw that in the bubble, where these young guys, once you gave them the chance to play, they were really effing good. Yeah, DeRozan was there, but he was closing out. But these young guys show that they can still play. Kelvin Johnson, we're all excited by Kelvin Johnson, and the Spurs are. If you've noticed, Kelvin Johnson's been out there a lot with the public eye and doing a lot of sponsorships, doing a lot of events, and that's because the Spurs are high on him. The Spurs think this guy can be the face of the franchise, and they're putting him out there. The Spurs have the pieces they need. It just needs to be that point where you need to move on from the past and accept the future.
And the past being one Lamarcus Aldridge.
Forget the past. Let it die, as Kylo Ren would say. And I know Jeff is.
You just
Jeff
made a
is
mistake.
just shaking it. Oh well, he can't get rid of me after what I did today. So
yeah.
But you gotta move on from the past and start accepting the future. And I think this future will not take long at all to really get this team going. And I also say this, going to 2021, 22 into the offseason before that, the Spurs only had $26 million tied down. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money you can use. Yeah, you're going to lose some of it in a Derrick White extension, maybe re-signing Jakob Poeltl. You have a ton of money opening up that you can use to re-sign these guys and then put players around these guys. This team has the capability of being really damn good in a single year, in my opinion.
Yeah, whenever you're 2021 season, 2021 season, they're going to have a lot of money, and we're also going to have a very, very good draft class coming through. So I'm excited about that. Best of both worlds.
Yeah, and so, again, the Spurs are going to have cap space. They're going to have roster space. There's a lot of things that can go right for the Spurs team. This is not – some people will say, oh, have you seen the rebuild teams of the Knicks and the Hawks? That's because they manage their money very poorly. This Spurs team has managed their money really damn well. Yeah, they made some mistakes of signing Pau Gasol to that god-awful contract to having some dead money, but that dead money is not that much. Other teams have worse dead money than the Spurs. Yeah. So the Spurs have set themselves up to be in a perfect position. They got the young guys that they need. They got the roster space that's freeing up. They got the cap space. Yeah, you might need to wait a year or so, but I don't think you're going to be waiting that long. But you gotta have patience, and you gotta accept the future. And accepting the future means letting go of DeMar. I almost said DeMarcus, but you gotta let go of DeMar. You gotta let go of Lamarcus at some point if you want this to go the way that you think the Spurs team is going to be.
Yeah, and like you said too, we gotta let some of these things go. Some of these old things go, and unfortunately, I don't see how we can move forward, even considering offering an extension to one Lamarcus Aldridge. And speaking of things we need to let go, we also need to let go one Marco Beninelli. We could have those minutes going off to a younger player, is what I'm saying. I would be fine with us letting Marco go if the Spurs are going to go ahead and give some run to some of the younger players.
And I don't know this is all speculation on my part. I would assume that they would be moving on from him. Bryn Forbes, I don't know. I don't know about Bryn Forbes.
I have a damn feeling that they're going to offer him an extension. It's going to piss everybody off.
But I don't think it would be a big extension, though. I'd rather not have Bryn Forbes there, he might be there. But we never know. We don't know. But then you got guys like Drew Eubanks, Quindary Weatherspoon that most likely I think are going to come back. I think Drew is going to get a full contract. He's coming off his second year off a two-way. I think Quindary might be signed to a two-way, but I think Quindary is going to get another two-way. But there might be a slim chance that he also gets a full contract. We never know. But I only think Quindary gets that full contract if Marco and Bryn are gone.
Yeah, I had some. Let's see if I can find it. I'm going to pull up some information in regards to the contract information that I have regarding the San Antonio Spurs, because as I was looking at the salaries here, I remember that Keldon Johnson was really making nothing, and we had some other players in front of him that were actually making more money. That
Yeah,
hadn't even
so
really played. Like Lucas Samanic, I believe, is making more than Keldon Johnson actually.
so Luka and Keldon still have their still have their two team year extension options available. So going into 21 to the 21-22 season or whatever that's going to start, because we don't know what the timeline at this point.
Yeah.
Spurs only have money to DeJounte Murray and $15 million, Lonnie Walker a team option $4 million, Luka and Keldon both with a team option. Luka almost about $3 million, and then Keldon at $2 million for their team options.
Yeah.
So you're most likely you're going to see a Derrick White extension. I think that's going to happen this offseason no matter what, because he is due for his extension going into this season. He is on the last year of his rookie deal. We saw this last season with DeJounte getting his rookie extension.
Yeah, check this out. This is what I was going to tell you.
All right, what do you have?
Lonnie Walker for this upcoming season is due $2.9 million. Lucas Samanic is due $2.8 million. Then we go down the line. Keldon Johnson at $2 million. $2 million, right at 2. Shemezi Metu, $1.7 million. Then you have Tyler Zeller, $2.4 million. And then in between all this, you have Derrick White at 3.5. Trey Lyles, 5.5 million. And then we go up the line. Marco Beninelli, 7.6 million if the Spurs decide to keep him. He's an unrestricted free agent. That's, to me, I'm just like, why? Why would you want to keep him? Let him go.
So Marco's not going. So the only players that are not going to be on the payroll at this moment are Marco, Jakob, and Brent. Jakob is a restricted free agent, while Brent and Marco are unrestricted.
Yeah.
It is note that Chimezie Metu's contract is not guaranteed, as well as Trey Lyles, but I think Trey Lyles is going to get picked up.
Yeah.
And then also
Tyler Zeller's contract is non-guaranteed as well.
Tyler Zeller is 2.4 non-guaranteed.
Yeah.
So I honestly don't think you're going to see Tyler Zeller. I think he's going to be on the train. I think he's going to be on the training camp roster and then get cut. Trey Lyles is definitely going to get his money. Chimezie Metu is certainly up in the air. I don't think my bet would be that he's not going to be on this team and going into 2021 guess.
I doubt that. He had his time to shine, and unfortunately he just didn't pan out. He had a lot of athleticism. He plays great for the Austin Spurs, but when it comes to real world playing time here in an NBA situation, he just has never lived up to the expectation. Much to my dismay, because I had high hopes for Chimezie. Watching him play, over at the Austin Spurs, I wanted to see some of that translate when he came over to to play with the San Antonio Spurs, but it just never did. So I think at this point you got to kind of cut your losses,
Yeah. And I think that's the way, especially with your kind of limited roster space going into this season. And Chimezie might be a victim of that, especially if you want to re-sign Jakob. If you re-sign Jakob and you still have Tyler Zeller and Chimezie Metu on that roster, that only leaves you with 2 roster spaces.
Yeah.
So I could see Tyler Zeller. I don't think he's going to make it. So that's it opens up in our spot. And then especially if you're going to make a trade and you do get multiple players out of, say, DeMar DeRozan trade, you're limiting your roster space even more. And
only reason that we would keep Tyler Zeller, period, is if something didn't pan out with Jakob Poeltl.
And I don't even think that. I think if Jakob Poeltl didn't pan out, you go into free agency and you grab someone. You grab someone that mid-level exception. I think there's better options in this on the free agency market than Tyler Zeller. I'm going to say that.
But you can get him cheap. You can get him on the cheap.
And I think you get a better player for cheaper still for the same money. And
you
again,
can take a chance.
Level,
yeah.
You get the mid-level exception that's going to be around $7 million or something like that.
Yeah.
You're going to be, and that's what you got. That's what you got Trey Lyles on. I think the Spurs are going to be able to get someone better than Tyler Zeller on this free agency
That's
market.
the one thing that I hated, is that we really didn't get to see what Trey Lyles was really going to do in the bubble situation. He only played that one game.
And what I'm adamant about this. If the Spurs had Trey Lyles in the bubble, they would have made the playoffs.
I don't doubt that.
Well, I would have put money on it
I think they would
because
have lost one game in the bubble.
I don't even think they would have lost one game.
I think they would have lost one.
They lost 3 in the bubble, but the last game was a BS game. We're not going to count that. If they had the additional size that Trey Lyles brings and the rebounding abilities that he brought, I think this team could have been undefeated in the bubble.
And he's shooting. He can get out and spread the defense and shoot. Yeah. So yeah, I agree.
The biggest issue that bubble Spurs team has was lack of size because you went down to Yager and Drew Eubanks, and Chimezie Metu was a non-factor. He wasn't playing. Luka wasn't playing, and
they had to go small. They played small ball.
They had to go small, and that really hurt them against teams like the Nuggets and the Sixers, who were just taller teams. And then add on that Jakob got into foul trouble both against the Nuggets and the Sixers. You didn't really have anyone else to go back to. And Drew Eubanks, he came in, but he had to play conservative because he's the only other big man out there. So
and Drew murdered somebody out there on the court with that dunk.
Yes, he murdered Giannis Antetokounmpo, but that, unfortunately, that was just the preseason part of this. But having that lack of size, having only really 2 big men that were playing for you, Rudy Gay is still a small forward in my mind. He can play that power forward occasionally, but he's still a small forward. I think if you had Trey Lyles out there, he could have been a de facto center in these small ball lineups. He is a really good rebounder. He can stretch the floor, like you said, and not having his depth out there really hurt the Spurs, especially in those games against the Nuggets and the Sixers. And again, if he was out there, I think they got those teams. I think the Spurs could have made the playoffs.
They could have, they should have, but it's one of those scenarios. It was just something that we never saw happening. Trey Lyles getting appendicitis. I've suffered from appendicitis when I was 9 and I had to have surgery. It's no fun, man. You feel like crap.
I would doubt that's any fun.
It is not fun, dude. You're sore for a couple of weeks, even after, even with today's technology, after they do an appendectomy and remove the appendix, it's less invasive, but it's still going to be sore, tender, that area, because they're having to cut through muscle, and it takes a while for your muscle to actually heal. And then you have rehab on that muscle. So yeah, he's going to be ready come this next season, but it's just one of those things that freak accident, thing that you never foresaw happened, and it couldn't have happened at the worst time. But I think in the end, the younger players getting some run in the bubble is really going to be instrumental to their growth moving forward to this upcoming season, because I think that they're building confidence and cohesiveness out there on the court. And those are things that are going to be instrumental to success this coming season, because this bad taste that was in their mouth of not making the playoffs, you have to have adversity in order to grow. And I think this team has overcome a lot. They had a lot of things stacked up against them this season, including COVID-19, that everybody was dealing with. And now moving forward, it seems like they're coming together. Even in the offseason, a lot of these younger players, they're holding workouts together. They're working on certain aspects of their game. They're in the weight room. They're doing all the right things that you want to see out of these players. So I'm excited for the upcoming season, which we both think is going to probably be starting, if everything goes correctly, probably that week of Christmas. We should be seeing some NBA games on TV.
Yeah. And like you said, I think, I agree with you that this team has got cohesiveness. And I think this team showed that they can be good together. This is a young team that can really be good together. This team didn't need Lamarcus. Yeah, they did. They saw DeMar. DeMar was really clutch, and especially those late game moments. But I think this team showed.
Did you say he was clutch? Because a lot of Spurs fans are hating on DeMar.
They can shut the hell up. They all know that man became clutch and closed out for that Spurs bubble team. Everyone can say that happened.
Yeah.
But I think that bubble team really showed that these young guys can play, and that's why my confidence specifically is high for them. And you can say what the hell you guys want. These young guys are talented, capable, and you got to let them play.
Yep, you gotta let them play. So let's go ahead and talk about NBA drafts. And unfortunately, For us Spurs fans, the Detroit Pistons have been rumored to show a great deal of interest in one Patrick Williams, which Spurs fans, including myself, thought wouldn't be a bad pick at number 11. Yeah,
You stop that, Pistons. You stop that, Pistons. You stop that.
I like Devin Vasil as well. Obi Toppin, of course. I liked Obi Toppin, but I highly doubt he's going to be available at the 11th spot. But if he is, San Antonio needs to pull the trigger on that for my good friend Wesley Perkins, who's a big Obi Toppin fan. But we were looking at some of the mock drafts, via The Ringer, via CBS, and after this latest news, that's been reported with the Detroit Pistons showing a very, eager interest in one Patrick Williams. CBS's mock draft has the Detroit Pistons at number 7, picking Killian Hayes, a point guard out of France. He's 6'5", 192 pounds. Then they have Patrick Williams going to the lowly Knicks at number 8. And then, I come down here a little bit more, and I'm looking. I also like Isaac Okoro out of Auburn, 6'6", small forward. I liked him a lot too. He's going at number 10 with the Phoenix Suns. At 11, they have Precious Achiuwa being picked by the San Antonio Spurs, who was also a favorite. He was also a favorite of mine. He's a power forward, 6'9", has a good wingspan. He's a top 20 prospect. He does a lot of things on the defensive end. It's just his offense that needs some work. But he has good perimeter skills, as far as his, what he can do out there. He can use a little polish, but being with the Spurs, I think he can really flourish into a solid player that the Spurs can utilize in the lineup. And then we have Devin Vasil, another favorite here, going at number 12 with the Sacramento Kings. And then 13. These are all fan favorites that I've really been looking at, and not only me, but a lot of Spurs fans as well. Aaron Nesmeth. I really like this kid as well. Small forward. He's 6'6", 213 pounds. He has good shooting ability. He has a quick release. He's able to give a head fake, shake off a defender, and in one dribble, jump up real quick and take that quick jump shot. So you like that skill set that he has. Of course, there's some things that he's lacking on the defensive end, but in today's NBA, there's not a really big emphasis on playing defense. If you can get a player that can play decent defense and put up shots and help the team from on the offensive end, I'll take it. I really like this kid. So within this grand scope of things, coming in from 7 all the way down to 13th, you have all these Spurs picks potentially that could go at 11 or could go sooner. What do you think about your Patrick Williams going now with the lonely New York Knicks?
Patrick Williams is I don't really know too much of these prospects, but from the kind of the stuff that I've looked at and from what I've heard on from some of the Twitter draft guys, Patrick Williams has been my favorite. He would be my go-to pick with this Spurs team, especially with his versatility on offense, his versatility on defense, and the kind of player that this Spurs team needs is a quiet player. They need someone that can be in that small forward position, that can be really flexible on defense, and then have a capability to really become a really good offensive player,
a two-way player.
So, yes, exactly, a two-way player. But the way I see it is, you gotta look at the Kawhi model, unfortunately, to where as some fans don't want to hear that, but look at the player Kawhi is. Kawhi was a really great defender coming out of San Diego State. His offense was a little bit sketchy, and that's why he fell down the way that he did. If you're going to get a guy that you want someone to be a really good two-way, especially within the Spurs system, get a really good defender. Get someone that is really polished on defense and can really hang out with some of the big guys. That's why I like Matisse Thybulle. Sorry, I couldn't come up with the name for a second. That's why I like Thybulle so much going into last draft, because Thybulle was excellent on defense, and knowing how the Spurs can be, he can develop on offense easily within the Spurs system. I think Patrick Williams is kind of that best bet. He's 6'8", 225. He's flexible and can guard multiple positions. And then add on that he already has kind of some really good perimeter shooting. I think he'd be a great fit with Spurs, and that's why he's my first pick. And I would be extremely disappointed if he went any earlier.
Yeah, and he can pop off threes as well, so that's always a plus.
Yeah, so I think that he was my first pick. And you do have some other guys like Bay, Okoro, Vasil that are still good picks. I think they would be good picks no matter what because they really fit the mold that you need. I think Vasil would be a really better one, especially with he's being one of the best defenders within this class. But so really, I'd go Williams, Vasil, and then maybe I would say Bay maybe as my third pick. It's not a confident choice, but this really isn't this is my expertise. I'm better with contracts. I'm better with the jersey reveals. but I think that no matter who the Spurs pick in this draft, I think they're going to get the right guy no matter what.
Well, if we look at the Ringer, which we did before we came on the show here, we compared CBS's mock draft to the Ringer's mock draft, and then we went to the big board. The big board at number 11 has the San Antonio Spurs. Again, my friend Wesley Perkins is going to be jumping up and down, picking Obi Toppin. You know, how unlikely is that going to happen?
So, I say that's the big board, though. That's not the mock draft.
Yeah, that's a big board.
But looking at the relays that we looked at, the Ringer had Patrick Williams, NBC Sports had Vasil, and then NBC Sports had Precious. How do you say
Achua?
Achua had Precious Achua going to the Spurs. I don't really know how I feel about Precious. I prefer a small forward in my opinion.
I like Precious. I like Precious Achua. I like some of these big men because we are needing size. You know, the Spurs have had issues with teams, and you have pointed out this as well as everybody else had seen this in the bubble play. Spurs had issues with 76ers. They have had issues with the Utah Jazz at times because of size. Denver Nuggets because of size. Even the Lakers, size. All these teams, if they have size and length, it bothers the San Antonio Spurs because they can't match that. While the Spurs are a athletic team at times, you know, they're able to get out in the open court and they're good in transition, they're not able to play the defense needed because they don't have the personnel needed to go up against these teams that have size and length on them. So they're going to go ahead and feast on us inside the paint all day, which is what we've seen happen going into last season, even in the bubble play when they played some of these other teams like, you know, the Denver Nuggets and also 76ers. So I'm in favor of getting somebody to help us out here to kind of match up with some of these other teams to give us, you know, somewhat of a fighting chance. While we still might not match up as well, at least we have some size in the paint to kind of deter shots a little bit.
Yeah, and so my counterpoint with that one is that the Spurs really haven't had that true small forward since Kawhi left.
No, yeah, no doubt.
They haven't really had someone to fill that space between 5'6" and 5'10". They really haven't had anyone fill that space, and that's why I think they need to go with more of a small forward a guy that goes 6'7", 6'8". Yeah. I think they just need someone to fill that 3-4 role. Rudy Gay has more been a 3-4, but he's definitely been more of a 4. He's not as athletic as he used to be.
Isaac Okoro fits that bill at 6'9".
Yeah, and I agree with that. Anyone within that range of 6'6" to 6'9", 6'10", I think that would be a great pick no matter what. I just think that you need the athleticism that the small forward 3 position brings.
Yeah, and if they have the wingspan, they can actually play larger than what their frame suggests.
And then also add on, you do have Drew Eubanks. That's most likely going to come back.
Yeah,
that you're going to have someone at that 4-5 now. You just need someone that can fill in that 3-4 spot that you haven't had in almost 3 seasons now.
Yeah. I'm all for bubble Drew. If we can get some Drew that played in the bubble, I'm fine with that, man, because Drew Eubanks at the bubble surprised the hell out of me. And not only me, he surprised the heck out of a lot of Spurs fans as well, because he was actually playing some solid basketball when we needed him the most.
And if you watch Drew, what he did in Austin, he was a solid player the whole time around. He was a great two-way player. He's really athletic for his size. Even though some people do say that he's undersized, that he is 6'10" center, but his athleticism makes up for that. And even if you look at the draft reports and all that, they all say the same. And going into the bubble, this dude was doing really well. 7 points per game, near 1.5 blocks per game. Was the rebounds? Almost 7 rebounds a game. He played his role and did really well. 56% shooting as well in 17 minutes per game. The best thing about Drew Eubanks, and he's even said this himself, that he knows how to play his role. If there's a role that the team needs and they say that, Drew, can you go do that? He's going to go do it.
Yeah.
And that's what the Spurs team needs. They need a guy that can be flexible, that can kind of sit back, be off the ball, and play defense, and then maybe even go finish at the rim, finish inside, and become a kind of a light scorer if they need him. I think Drew is a flexible player in that aspect, and putting him at that 4 and the 5, it adds more athleticism and adds more size to this team that the Spurs team doesn't really have any. I'm going to say Drew Eubanks was probably the most athletic big man that Spurs have had in a good while. Because you do have Yager, you have Lamarcus. They're not the most athletic guys. But Drew Eubanks is probably going to be one of the more athletic big men that this Spurs team has had in a long while.
Yeah, so going ahead and bringing this show to an end here, we're going to move into our last topic of this episode of the Two Shots podcast, and that is talking the Becky Hammon mural that just went up. I know I saw this by our good friend on Twitter. Jeff Garcia had posted this first, that I was able to see that coming through my Twitter line, my TL. And it was the actual mural went up at San Antonio Nostalgic Clothing, which is located, I believe, off of Broadway Street in the Lincoln Heights area. So if you want to go ahead and check that out. And also today, I remember seeing a picture posted of Becky Hammon in front of the mural taking a picture. So she already saw the mural and she went out to check it out in person, even though it just, the story, I guess, broke yesterday. So that was interesting, seeing her to go out and take a picture in front of her own mural, which I guess she's given it her seal of approval because it does have a good message at the end of the day, and what it was saying. So I liked it, man. I thought it was in good taste, man. It says "Never Stop," and it has a picture of Becky being the assistant coach for the San Antonio Spurs, and you have little Becky looking up at her. So that's a good message for young women across the Alamo City. What was your first impression of this mural?
Oh, I love it. I love it. I think giving Becky deserves all the love that she gets.
Yeah.
She deserves the love and respect because she's worked her ass off on both on the court and then as a coach. She even won a summer league. She is a well-respected coach across the league, and we all know that she is highly respected within the Spurs organization. And there's a reason that she is an assistant coach. There is a reason that she has a major role within this coaching staff.
Yeah.
But like it says, never stop. I think that's a great message, like you said. And it's a beautiful mural. It's beautiful. It respects her in almost every single way. And even though that if you want Becky to succeed, and that might be involving her going to coaching a different team, no matter where she goes, as long as she doesn't go to the Knicks, because Knicks don't deserve her. But anywhere she goes, I'm gonna be a fan, and I'm gonna cheer on even if it's a weird Rockets team or something like that. God forbid that she goes to the Rockets too. Sorry, don't go to the Rockets or Knicks, Becky. Please don't do that. But
yeah,
no matter what she goes for, and I'm going to cheer for her, and I'm going to support her because she's earned my respect, and she's earned the respect of millions of people across this country and across the world just for the player that she is and the coach that she's shown that she can be.
Yeah, so it was well said. She has earned the respect of Spurs fans, and rightly so. What she's able to do out there on the court. I think she's a tremendous leader, has a really good basketball IQ. And if you see her work out with the players before practice, because I know you've been privy to getting out there when we were allowed to go to the Spurs games and being there hours before the game starts and watching her interact with the players out there on the court, she's really hands on. She's really at it. She's goes at goes out there on the court and shows them exactly what she wants them to work on. Even going as so far as to even showing them the moves she wants them to do it at certain situations by also giving them the ball and even putting her hands up and trying to play defense with these guys to kind of push them into these positions that's gonna help them elevate their game to the next level. So you like everything that you see out of her. She's not one of these coaches that's just going to tell you what to do. She's going to show you what to do. And I think that is something that strikes a chord with this younger generation of Spurs fan. I think she's well respected by the younger generation. And not only that, by even the veterans out there, because they know exactly what she's done, not only for the WNBA, but also being a pioneer here in the NBA as the first female assistant coach in NBA history. I mean, you can't say enough good things about Becky. And I, for one, look forward to the day that she does become a NBA head coach. And it might not be with the Spurs. I hope it is. But for whatever team she goes ahead and winds up becoming the head coach for, I know that I will be watching and supporting her in anything she does.
Exactly.
So we're going to go ahead and bring this show to a close here, Ty. But since you went ahead and broke Spurs Twitter, tell everybody where they can go ahead and follow you and get your latest breaking news on Twitter.
You can follow me at the Ty Yager. That's the Ty Jager. Just like the alcohol, don't worry. I'll be dropping Jaeger bombs all off season.
Jaeger bombs. So I hope that my Jaeger bomb has a little bit of Red Bull in it.
So funny enough, I've never had a real Jaeger bomb, and I don't plan on having a Jaeger bomb.
Oh, come on. Don't say that. We got to get you one now just because you said that.
Oh, God. No.
When we're all able to get together.
Sometime. So first thing out of quarantine and everything's back to normal, you guys are going to force me to get sick off a Jaeger bomb.
Oh. I got chills just thinking about Jägermeister, dude. That's no bueno. You froze on me, Ty. So we'll go ahead and bring the show to a close. You can go ahead and follow me at Two Shots Podcast, at Two Shots Podcast, all spelled out, TWOSHOTS Podcast. So make sure you go ahead.
I will gladly use the product and take it, but I'm not going to drink it.
You're just going to hold it? Can you pour my friend a shot? He just wants to hold it. That'll be something. Well, okay. We're going to go to...
there?
Yeah, I'm still here. We're going to go ahead and bring the show to...
No, sorry.
We're going to bring this show to a close because, unfortunately, Ty's apartment Wi-Fi is no good.
Are you getting drunk off Jaeger and just not realizing it? Or just by thinking about it?
Oh, no. I hate Jägermeister.
You're taking pauses now.
No, I'm not taking pauses. What's happening is that your apartment Wi-Fi keeps going in and out.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. I was like, I'm going to play the video back for you so you could see it. I was like, you gave me the frozen in time face where it's just your face, you're frozen. Then we lose you for a couple seconds. And then I'm like, okay, Ty's apartment Wi-Fi is on the fritz here. So I'm trying to bring the show to a close and you think I'm pausing. It's not me, bro. It's not me.
Oh, God.
So, yes, Ty's apartment Wi-Fi is no bueno. Maybe we should start a GoFundMe to get him some quality Wi-Fi.
I'm kind of glad I was at work when this all broke because knowing my Wi-Fi would cut out as soon as I tried to make the tweet.
Yeah. You would have almost broke Spurs Twitter if you were at home. All right. So for Ty Yager, I'm Joe Garcia. Thank you for watching and listening to another episode of the Two Shots Podcast. And like we always say, spread the love, stop the hate, be kind.